Hello everybody and welcome to another book review here on the channel. Today we're gonna be doing a special journey to a really magical place called Neverland. And we all know the address is the second star to the right, straight until morning. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Okay, so this is a classic. We all know Peter Pan, but I haven't read it, so I decided to pick it up this year because I follow this really cool booktuber. Her name is Murphy Napier. I can link her channel in the description if you want to check her out. And she praises it so much. It's her favorite book, and I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. So I bought it, and wow, was a wonderful, interesting, and slightly unsettling experience. It had an emotional impact on me that I didn't expect at all. This book is nothing like the sweet Disney movie we all know, but yet it has a really heartwarming narrative, so beautiful, and has so many whimsical lines that blow my mind and my heart. I don't know, when they talk about the birth of fairies and say, when the first baby laughed for the first time, its laugh broke into 1,000 pieces, and they all went skipping about, and that was the beginning of fairies. I actually think that the way this story is told is the reason why Peter Pan is considered a children's book, because in reality the story and the characters are way darker than what we've seen in the movies, at least the ones that I watched, and I watched nearly all of them. The plot is no different. We see Peter enter the Darling house one night looking for his lost shadow, and he wakes up one day by accident, and then her brothers, Michael and John, Peter teaches them to fly and leads them to this magical island that's built by children's imagination, and it's called Neverland. Although Neverland stays this whimsical and fairy tale-esque island we've all built in our heads when we were little, it is actually a scarier place than I thought. And that was what caught my attention at first, because the violence in the book is so much more prevalent than the movies. I mean, we all know that Captain Hook is the evil guy, the evil pirate that likes to kill people with his hook, and he's so vengeful. But we also see Peter and the Lost Boys talk about killing so openly. They enjoy killing pirates and fighting with redskins, and killing is like a game for them. It's really weird. I've never seen in a children's book talk about death so openly, and that startled me so much in the beginning. But I think the core of the book are the characters, the main characters, and what they represent. And that's what we're gonna mainly talk about in this review. At first, we're gonna talk about Wendy. She's a really caring girl. She represents a maternal figure for the Lost Boys in the story, rather literally. And she's really conflicted because she wants to grow up and be like her mother, and at the same time she wants to stay a kid and have fun. But she's logical, she's practical, and actually she's the one that realizes that something's not right in this island, and she realizes she's forgetting her parents, and she tells her brothers to go back home to the real world, because if not, they're gonna forget their mother and father. There's a bunch of things I could say about Wendy, but if I point them out one by one, I feel like I will never finish this video. So I'm gonna be concentrating in just one, which I feel is really, really important, and that is gender roles in this story. This thing unsettled me a lot because I feel like female characters in this book are always portrayed as in relation to the boys. They serve a purpose. I mean, you cannot think about Tinkerbell as herself. She's Peter Pan's fairy. Wendy is the motherly figure. She's literally the surrogate mother of the lost boys. And Tiger Lily is just a character that is like really thankful for Peter because he saved her. And that worries me because even if I know that this was written in the first part of the 20th century and the times have changed, I mean, this is a children's book and parents read this book to children. So I think it's important to take into consideration that we need to encourage women to stand for themselves and be seen as individuals, not as always in relation to men. I don't know. I would like to know your opinions about this subject because I think it's important to talk about what we are reading to children in these times. Moving to our main character, Peter Pan comes in the movies like this fun child and hero, but he's not. He's an arrogant brat that thinks almost exclusively about himself and nearly gets everyone killed more than once because he just wants to live these adventures and have fun without regard of consequences of his actions, even if they affect the people around him. And that, at the same time, it's what makes this character so tragic because, I mean, he wants to stay a child forever, even if that means being alone. He is timeless because life goes on for everybody except him. So he's incapable of building meaningful relationships. And you see it even with Tinkerbell. There's this part at the end of the book when he goes to visit Wendy and she asks him about the little fairy and he's like, who is she? Or maybe I knew her, but she might die. Fairies die quite often. And Wendy freaks out. And it's obvious because he's saying that like he's talking about the weather. I mean, what's wrong with this kid? I think we've all wanted to be Peter Pan at least once or go to Neverland. But in reality, when I read this book, I thought it was just so sad because Peter refuses, not just because he doesn't want to, but because he's afraid of becoming an adult. I think here the author makes a really good point about adulthood, and that is that becoming an adult means more than just trivial responsibilities or getting a job or get married and have kids. It means being aware of people around you. It means caring, building relationships, understanding love and feelings and embrace them. But Peter cannot do it. And there's this part in the books, it's so sad when Wendy asks him about his feelings for her and he freaks out and he says horrible things to her. He says he has all his joy of being a child and emotions just complicate things and he doesn't want to feel love or anything like it and just dismisses Wendy on the spot. And in my opinion, the author has a really interesting way to approach both adulthood and childhood. He points out its flaws and its virtues, and he kind of tells us to embrace every step we take in life because we're humans. We need each other. We need friendship and love and also have fun and our own adventures. And in every step of the way, we get our own joys. And I think he phrases it so well in this heartbreaking line at the end of the book when the darling children arrive home to their parents and Peter is just watching outside the window. And this line really broke my heart into little pieces. And I'm just gonna read it because, oh my God. There could not have been a lovelier sight, but there was none to see it, except a little boy who was staring in at the window. He had ecstasies innumerable that other children can never know, but he was looking through the window at the one joy from which he must forever be barred. This was a really hard scene for me. I broke apart. I cried a lot and I couldn't stop crying until the end of the book, because that last scene with Wendy grown up and married with her daughter, and Peter shows up and sees her as an adult and he just cries. He sits in the corner and starts to cry. Oh God, I don't know, I just couldn't stand her. I was crying and then I was wandering about the house, like staring blankly, like, what do I do now? And I had to put one of the movies because I couldn't stand the thought that was over actually. So yeah, I loved this book so much. I think it has become one of my favorite standalones in all time. It made me feel so many things and think about so much stuff and subjects I didn't think about before. Yeah, I really recommend this book. It's really enjoyable. It's beautifully written, and yeah. So let me know in the comment section what you thought about this book, if you're planning to read it, or what are your thoughts about the subjects this book points out, because I think they're really interesting. And like and subscribe if you like the video and what you want to see more content in the future. Thank you guys and see you soon.